Hi everyone, happy Halloween, and today I'm going to mess around with hi-hats and show you some interesting techniques of how to make your hi-hat sound really cool. If you do sort of trap music or 80s music, hi-hats are really integral to that sort of style, so check it out. So let's get started. What I want to do to begin with, and what I've already started with, is I've pulled in a drum loop, a kick, okay, just a standard kick, and a nice sounding snare. So what we're going to do is get a drum rack instrument and pull that into a new MIDI track lane, and we've got a bold, basically nothing drum rack. I am going to now take that sample that I had before, which is a hi-hat, type the word hat in. I like that sound. Let's bring it into the drum rack. So in the drum rack, what we have here is pretty nice. So let's arm this track. Pretty nice sounding, fairly boring sounding actually, hat, which is cool. So now let's do something interesting with that hat, and let's bring in an arpeggiator. So I'm just going to drag the arpeggiator into that slot for that hi-hat. And so what you'll notice is once you bring the arpeggiator in, because the default rate is 1/8, it will just play a standard 1/8 tempo, which is pretty boring. I mean, it's cool if you want to start with something, but what you can also do is pull in some different rate hats, okay? Another thing you can do as well, if you want to get very specific in terms of the speed, is mess with the rate here. But by itself, you're not going to be able to do much like that. What I do like to do is use this. So I'm going to demonstrate very quickly how having a single hat with a speed of 16 can make your song sound a little bit, just a touch more interesting than normal. So I'm just going to record it now. Okay, so I'll just go into the clip. So instead of doing your traditional tapping away on your hi-hat, I've actually just tapped in sort of areas where it sounds cool, and I think that sounds alright, especially if you're doing 80s music, sort of like New Order. It sounds good. So that's not the only thing I wanted to show you. I thought that was good, and obviously after that you can do a bunch of other things, but with a drum rack, and I'm not going to go into that. But one thing I did want to show you was once you do have that sort of arpeggiator and hat set, you can then press Control and drag that into another slot. You can drag that into another slot and drag that into another slot. And so each one, this is a 16th, each one you can just change the rate. So I'm going to just bring this one down to 32 and this one here down to 48, and this one here is going to be crazy at 96. And so what that means, let me just remove this clip. What that means is you've got a few options in here, okay, and you've got some pretty interesting combinations. But you can play this. You can play this live, okay. So let's hear the backing track and play. And you can play them on top of each other, over each other. So let's just record one, and I'll just show you what I mean by that. Okay, I mean, I'm not promising that sounds good, but these sort of overlaps could sort of help sometimes, okay? So, just split this open, what I didn't want to do. So I'm just going to... So obviously once you're in a drum rack, you can start messing with MIDI and moving things around and just getting the sort of sound and effect that you want. You go back into the drum rack. So say you want to, on this faster one, you want to transpose the sound. You can do it on the slow one. And obviously you can change the direction. You can do it for all of them. And then obviously you can bring effects in. So I'll just bring an echo boy into play. So that's taken a while, apologies. There you go. And you might want to mess with the make the sort of the fast ones just a touch shorter. Let's make them all a bit shorter. Not that short. Okay. Anyway, so I think you see my point here. You can create a drum rack, you can mess around with the MIDI in that drum rack, you can for example, you can change the samples, you can transpose. So once it's in a drum rack, you can have all sorts of fun with the sounds. The other thing I wanted to show you just quickly, I'm just going to remove the echo boy, is you can then go ahead and save the drum rack. Okay, so I can just call this one hi-hat galore. Okay, or different speeds, whatever you want to call it. So every time I want to go back to that drum rack, I'll have that sample, but I can always change the samples. Okay, so I hope that helped, and if you've got any questions or you're going to show me a different way of doing this, love to hear from you. Thanks and have a nice day.